Imagine discovering that a simple penny sitting quietly in an old jar, forgotten for decades, could be the key that unlocks a life of freedom, wealth, and opportunity. Imagine learning that one specific coin, the 1965 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, has recently shocked collectors by reaching a staggering market value of $965,000, and that in rare circumstances, under the right conditions, it has even been valued in the millions. Now imagine realizing you might have one of these life-changing coins right now, without even knowing it. That's not a fantasy. That's not an exaggeration. That is today's reality. And for those who pay attention, it is the beginning of a new chapter. The story of the 1965 penny doesn't start with money. It starts with chaos. In the mid-1960s, the United States Mint was facing a national coin shortage. Millions of people were hoarding silver coins, collecting them, melting them, hiding them away. The economy was being squeezed, and the mint was under immense pressure to keep coins in circulation. To calm the panic and increase production speed, mint marks were temporarily removed from all coins, including the Lincoln cent. The decision was simple on paper, but what it created was a series of unintended treasures that would not be recognized until decades later. Some of those pennies, struck under stressful conditions, came out with extraordinary qualities, perfect details, rare errors, and unique metal characteristics. Those are the coins changing lives today. Now, here's something most people never hear. Not all 1965 pennies are created equal. Some are ordinary. Most are worth face value. But a select few special strikes, transitional errors, or high-grade specimens sit at the top of the collecting world like hidden royalty. They're the ones that have crossed auction blocks for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the ones now being whispered about as million-dollar sleepers. And yes, these coins still show up in pocket change, old piggy banks, inherited collections, and dusty boxes found during spring cleaning. It almost sounds too good to be true, right? But then again, doesn't every great story start with someone doubting what's possible? The rise of the 1965 penny's value didn't happen overnight. It grew slowly, quietly, steadily, like a storm brewing on the horizon. As more collectors began searching for rare varieties, they uncovered high-grade examples with crisp edges, flawless surfaces, and breathtaking detail. When the first of these hit auctions and fetched astonishing prices, the numismatic world shook. And suddenly, this humble copper coin became a symbol of possibility, proof that wealth can hide in the most unlikely places. It's funny, isn't it? People dream of lottery tickets, but overlook the tiny fortune sitting right under their noses. But here's where things get truly exciting. A small group of collectors and grading specialists started identifying elite coins known as condition rarities. These are 1965 pennies that survived untouched for decades, protected from scratches, humidity, fingerprints, and time itself. In the world of coins, perfection is king. And when perfection meets rarity, the value skyrockets. In one case, a nearly flawless 1965 penny stunned everyone with a jaw-dropping price of $965,000. That was the moment the world realized the true power of this coin. And that moment is still unfolding today. Now, before you run to dump out every jar of coins you own, well, actually, go ahead, dump them out. You never know what's hiding in there. But pay close attention, because this is where the story takes a sharp turn. The highest value 1965 pennies usually share one important characteristic. They are graded. Professional grading transforms an ordinary coin into a verified treasure. It gives collectors confidence, establishes authenticity, and documents every microscopic detail. And in the hands of an investor, that documentation becomes leverage. If you're holding a rare, valuable coin, grading is your gateway to serious wealth. But here's the twist no one expects. There are still ungraded 1965 pennies circulating that possess the exact traits of high-value coins: mirror surfaces, deep details, or transitional errors from earlier minting years. These coins slip through the cracks, quietly waiting to be discovered. What if one of those coins is sitting in your home right now? What if you've held it in your hands before, shrugged, and tossed it back into a drawer? What if your future wealth depends on looking again? There's a reason the wealthiest collectors, investors, and dealers are racing to find the last remaining top-grade 1965 specimens. The supply is shrinking, awareness is exploding, and rarity, once discovered by the masses, becomes a catalyst for skyrocketing prices. Think of real estate in a booming city. Think of early tech stocks. Think of a diamond before it's cut. Once people realize the value, the window of opportunity narrows. The 1965 penny is no different. Each new discovery reduces the chances of the next one. The clock is ticking, and the market knows at this point. You might be wondering, why does this coin reach values that sound unbelievable, hundreds of thousands, even millions? The answer is simple. Once a coin reaches legendary status, it becomes more than currency. It becomes an artifact, a masterpiece, a story frozen in metal. Collectors don't just buy the coin. They buy the history, the symbolism, the rarity, the bragging rights. They buy a piece of America's past. And when wealthy collectors compete for pieces of history, the sky is not the limit. The sky is merely the beginning. Of course, this kind of opportunity triggers something deep inside us. A desire for freedom, a hunger for a better life. Maybe you want financial security. Maybe you want a new home, early retirement, travel, or simply a cushion that lets you breathe a little easier. Or maybe you want the thrill of knowing you uncovered something extraordinary, something others overlooked. That's the emotional power of the 1965 penny. It's more than metal, it's possibility. But before you start imagining your future yacht, hey, nothing wrong with a little dreaming. Let's come back to something important. You need to know exactly what to look for. When examining a 1965 penny, pay attention to sharpness, surface quality, luster, and any unusual patterns. Look for crisp Lincoln details, strong rim definition, or unexpected design anomalies. Sometimes the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth a fortune is almost invisible to the naked eye. A small die error, a subtle doubling, a pristine, untouched surface. The kind of details most people would overlook, but the kind of details that make collectors lose their minds. And here's a cliffhanger for you. Some of the rarest 1965 pennies ever discovered were found completely by accident. One was sitting in a box of coins that had been untouched since the 1970s. Another was found inside an old desk purchased at a garage sale. One was discovered in a deceased relative's belongings. Its owner never knew its value. These stories aren't rumors. They're real. And every time one of these coins gets found, collectors everywhere get just a little bit more nervous, a little more excited, and a lot more competitive. Because each discovery proves the next one could happen at any moment. This is why the 1965 penny has become a symbol for ordinary people taking control of their financial futures. The idea that wealth doesn't always come from banks, stocks, or complicated investments. Sometimes wealth comes from paying attention. Sometimes wealth comes from looking at the world a little differently. Sometimes wealth comes from a simple penny. If you're holding onto old coins, inherited collections, or boxes you haven't opened in years, now is the time to act. Not next month, not someday, now. Because every day that passes is a day when someone else could make the discovery you were meant to find. And let's be honest, wouldn't it be better if that person were you? The story of the 1965 Lincoln penny is still being written, and the next chapter might begin in your hands. Will you be the one who finds the next $1 million specimen? Will you be the person who turns curiosity into opportunity, and opportunity into wealth? Or will the coin sit quietly, waiting for someone else to notice it? Imagine waking up tomorrow, walking to the old dresser drawer you haven't opened in years, reaching inside, and discovering that a tiny brown penny you've ignored your entire life is suddenly worth nearly $1 million, with some collectors whispering that the right one could even break into the millions. Sounds unbelievable, right? But that's exactly the strange and thrilling reality hidden behind the 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. A coin most people spent, dropped, or lost in their couch cushions, now turning everyday Americans into overnight wealth builders. And yes, the current verified market value for rare high-grade examples has already reached an astonishing $971,000. So if you think you don't have buried treasure, think again. Before we go deeper, ask yourself something. How many 1971 pennies have passed through your hands without a second thought? Hundreds? Maybe thousands? Now imagine one of them sitting quietly in a jar somewhere in your home, waiting to reveal the kind of financial breakthrough that could reset your entire future. That sense of possibility is what has collectors racing, homeowners digging through drawers, and families suddenly turning pocket change into life-changing paydays. And today, we're going to uncover why this coin, this ordinary little disc of copper, has become one of the most electrifying opportunities in the world of rare American currency. It begins with a story that almost sounds accidental. In 1971, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. Most were ordinary, most were forgettable, and most were spent on bubble gum, parking meters, and school lunches. But a select, exceptionally tiny number were struck with such precision, such sharp detail, and such unexpected rarity factors that they rose above the rest. These are the elite survivors, the unicorns, pieces so flawless that collectors today pay small fortunes just to compete for them at auction. Some people call this luck. Others call it destiny. But seasoned collectors know the truth. Scarcity is everything. And the 1971 no-mint mark penny has scarcity baked into its history. The problem is, almost no one realized it at the time. The average person in 1971 had no reason to save this coin. After all, it looked exactly like every other penny. There was no special design, no commemorative stamp, nothing that would make a casual saver think, this one might be worth millions someday. And that's exactly what makes the surviving high-grade examples so ridiculously valuable. But here's where the plot thickens. Not only were the majority of 1971 pennies produced with the wear-prone copper alloy of the era, but many also left the mint with soft strikes, weak details, or tiny imperfections. That means today, examples with razor-sharp lines, immaculate surfaces, and pristine fields are astronomically rare. So rare that collectors have pushed bidding wars to the brink, driving prices into the hundreds of thousands, and positioning the top specimens to easily cross the million-dollar line in future auctions. And if that doesn't make you reach for your change jar, I don't know what will. Now, you might be wondering, is my 1971 penny one of the valuable ones? Could I actually be sitting on a life-changing asset without knowing it? Well, keep watching because we're about to get into the characteristics that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. But before we do, let's confront an uncomfortable truth. Most people throw away opportunities not because they don't exist, but because they don't take a moment to look. That fear of missing out isn't just emotional. It's real. Every month, someone finds a treasure coin in the most mundane places. Inside a glove compartment, in a forgotten piggy bank, behind a dresser, at the bottom of a jar filled with pennies no one wanted to count. And every month, someone else sighs and says, "If only I had checked sooner." Don't be that second person. The wealth you've been searching for might be closer than you think. The magic of the 1971 penny lies in three conditions: grade, strike, and rarity. For grade, the highest value coins are those graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC in the absolute top tiers, with nearly flawless surfaces that look like they just left the mint yesterday. These coins can achieve a level of beauty that almost seems impossible for something minted over 50 years ago. The second factor is strike. Collectors go wild over deeply defined details. Lincoln's hair curls should look crisp, not faded. The lettering should be sharp, not mushy. Even the tiny steps of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse should be visible with stunning clarity. If you've ever looked at the back of a penny and thought, "Why does this look like it melted slightly?" That's the opposite of what collectors want. The 1971 penny that sold for six figures had details so sharp you could practically count each line with a microscope. And rarity, well, that's the heart of the entire story. The number of high-grade 1971 no-mint mark pennies left in existence is unbelievably small. That's why collectors are scrambling to secure them before prices explode even higher. The current peak value sits around $971,000. And serious experts believe the next record-breaking sale could push past the million-dollar mark. If that happens, the market will shift overnight, and every remaining top-grade specimen will instantly become even more desirable. Think of it like real estate. When one house on your street sells for a shocking price, suddenly every property nearby increases in value. Coins work the same way. One blockbuster sale can lift the entire market. And right now, the 1971 penny is positioned exactly where fortunes are made. Rare enough to be valuable, iconic enough to attract bidders, and mysterious enough to electrify even casual collectors. But here's the twist. Most people don't know how to check their own coins properly. They squint at them under dim light, shrug, and toss them aside. Never do that. Not with a coin that has already produced near-million-dollar payouts. Instead, use bright lighting. Use a magnifier. And most importantly, handle the coin by the edges. If you accidentally add a scratch, your million-dollar dream can turn into a, well, maybe $20 nightmare. And trust me, no inspirational story begins with, "I scratched my own fortune." Let's pause for a second. Are you feeling that spark? That growing excitement? That curiosity tugging at the back of your mind? Good. That's the same feeling collectors have when they realize an everyday object might alter their financial future. And it's the energy that keeps people searching, learning, and stepping into wealth opportunities most folks never see. But we're not done yet. There's still one more question, maybe the most important one of all. Where do people actually find these valuable specimens? The truth is almost unbelievable. Some of the best 1971 pennies ever discovered weren't found in coin albums or special collections. They were found in pocket change, in coin jars, in old rolls purchased from a bank decades ago, in estates where nobody knew what they were looking at. So ask yourself, could your jar be next? Could your collection hold the next six-figure or seven-figure treasure? Would you even recognize it if you saw it? The final key is urgency. The window to capitalize on coins like the 1971 penny won't stay open forever. As collectors snap up the highest-grade survivors, fewer opportunities remain for everyday people to find or sell one. When supply tightens, the market shifts, and the people who acted early are the ones who benefit the most. That's why now, today, not tomorrow, is the moment to check your coins, evaluate their potential, and take action. Maybe your path to a wealthier lifestyle starts with something as small as a penny. Maybe the life you want, the freedom, the comfort, the stability, begins with recognizing value where others see nothing at all. And maybe, just maybe, that little copper coin sitting forgotten in your home is about to rewrite your future. So before this video ends, make a promise to yourself. Don't underestimate what you already have. Don't wait until the next record-breaking sale makes you say, "I should have looked." And don't ignore the chance to discover something extraordinary hiding in plain sight. Welcome back. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and discovering that the tiny, copper-brown penny you've overlooked for decades is secretly worth more than a luxury home. Sounds impossible, right? Yet, in the world of rare American coins, the ordinary-looking 1975 D Lincoln penny has become an extraordinary symbol of hidden wealth. One of these unassuming cents recently shocked collectors with a market valuation climbing as high as $975,000. And for a few rare specimens, private collectors whisper about deals approaching the $1 million mark. A single cent that can rewrite someone's financial future. And today, you might discover that you've been holding one all along. It's a strange feeling. Knowing something so small can trigger such powerful emotions. There's excitement, of course. A little fear too. What if you once had a rare penny worth nearly $1 million and accidentally spent it at a gas station years ago? What if it's still sitting in a shoebox in your basement right now? That uncertainty is exactly what keeps collectors searching, and what makes the 1975 D penny one of the most intriguing modern treasures hiding in everyday homes across America. Before we uncover why this coin has become so valuable, let's take a step back. In 1975, the Denver Mint pressed hundreds of millions of pennies. They weren't meant to be special. No one at the Mint woke up that day thinking, "Let's create a secret $1 million penny for future generations." And yet, just like in life, value often comes from the rare, the overlooked, the unexpected. Most 1975 D pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, maybe a little more if they're in great condition. But a microscopic fraction stand out due to extraordinary minting anomalies, near-perfect striking, or eye-catching errors that collectors obsess over. These are the coins that turn casual sellers into six-figure winners and hopeful hobbyists into true believers. And here's the twist most people never see coming. Many of the rarest 1975 D pennies didn't come from fancy collections. They came from junk drawers, coffee cans, leftover change from decades ago. Ordinary Americans, people just like you, who assumed their coins were worthless, until one day, they discovered that tiny mint mark D on a penny that looked just a little too sharp, a little too vibrant, a little too unusual. Some found pennies with doubled features. Some found off-center strikes that transformed a flaw into a fortune. Some found near-mint red coloration that had survived 50 years untouched. Each discovery became a story that spread like wildfire across the collector world. And that's exactly why people are now paying close to $1 million for exceptional examples. The scarcity is real. The demand is rising. And the fear of missing out? Absolutely electric. Every time a rare penny is confirmed, it fuels the urgency for collectors still searching for the next one. Because once the limited number of surviving rare specimens are found, the opportunities and the life-changing payouts begin to disappear forever. That it's almost poetic. Something created to be spent without a second thought now has the power to change a person's financial destiny. And you might be wondering, how can you tell if your 1975 D penny is one of the rare elite? The truth is simple. The clues are small, but the payoff can be enormous. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's coat. Look for strong, crisp lines that show almost no wear. Check for doubled letters, even slightly. Look at the color, that bright red copper shine that collectors adore. And if your penny seems just a little too perfect, like time forgot to touch it, that's when you send it for grading. Because the marketplace doesn't pay big money for maybes. It pays for verified excellence. But here's the part most people never hear until it's too late. Once graded, the value of the coin can skyrocket, sometimes by hundreds of thousands of dollars. A penny that would sell for a few thousand raw could suddenly be worth nearly $1 million in a top-tier grade. It's the difference between a nice surprise and a true generational asset. And with current demand pushing prices higher each year, the window to take advantage of this surge in interest is starting to narrow. Collectors want these coins now, not later. Their fear of missing the next big find is driving the market upward in ways we've rarely seen for modern pennies. That brings us to the most important point of this entire story: opportunity. Not theoretical opportunity. Tangible, real opportunity that could be sitting in your home right now. People often say wealth comes from hard work, but sometimes wealth comes from awareness. From knowing what to look for. From taking 10 minutes to examine that old jar of coins. How many fortunes have slipped through fingers simply because the owner never bothered to check? How many rare 1975 D pennies were tossed aside during spring cleaning? That thought alone is enough to make anyone pause before throwing away old change again. Now, imagine this. You're holding a coin in your hand. It weighs just 3.11 grams. It's smaller than a bottle cap. Yet the right one, in the right condition, could pay off a mortgage, fund a business, or buy the kind of freedom most people only dream about. That's not just money. That's transformation. That's why so many Americans today are turning their attention to these vintage coins. Because in a world that often feels uncertain, discovering hidden value offers something priceless. Hope. Of course, hope alone isn't enough. You need knowledge. You need the confidence to take action. And maybe a little humor doesn't hurt along the way. After all, it's kind of amusing that people spend thousands of dollars chasing the latest gadget, while a 1-cent coin from 1975 could quietly outperform all of them. Who knew the real treasure wasn't buried at sea but hiding in a drawer next to old batteries? Every collector, every seller, every investor starts somewhere. And for many, this simple penny can be the beginning of a wealthy lifestyle. Not because everyone will find the $1 million coin, but because the mindset of searching, learning, and seizing opportunity leads to success in every corner of life. And that's where the excitement truly begins as we move toward the end. There's one more thing you should know. The rarest examples of the 1975 D penny aren't just rising in value. They're being locked away. Private buyers, high-end collectors, and long-term investors are not letting them back into the market. They're disappearing into safes, vaults, and private portfolios. Once they're gone, they're gone. And that scarcity is creating a sense of urgency unlike anything the penny world has seen in decades. If you have one, this may be the most important time in history to find out. And here's the cliffhanger that keeps experts up at night. The most valuable 1975 D penny ever discovered may not have been found yet. Think about that. Somewhere out there, in a forgotten coin roll, in a family jar, in an envelope passed down through generations, the next record-breaking penny may be waiting for the right person to notice it. Maybe that person is already searching. Or maybe that person is you. So before you go, remember this. Wealth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, disguised as something ordinary. But the people who check, the people who stay curious, the people who take action, those are the ones who find the treasures everyone else overlooks. And your journey toward uncovering hidden value, transforming your finances, and stepping into a wealthier life could start with the smallest coin you've ever held. Now take a breath, grab that jar of pennies, and start looking. You never know what might be waiting for you. Most people walk past a handful of pennies every single day, on countertops, in parking lots, at the bottom of a drawer, never realizing that one of those tiny copper-colored coins could be worth more than a beachfront home. And today, we're talking about one of the biggest sleepers in American pocket change history, the 1979 Denver minted Lincoln penny. A coin so common that almost every household has had one. Yet so rare in its finest forms that it has sold for up to millions of dollars, with a current market sale touching an unbelievable $979,000. Yes, a penny that cost 1 cent to mint now worth nearly $1 million. And chances are, one viewer watching this right now could be sitting on the next record breaker without even knowing it. The truth is, these stories happen every year, ordinary people discovering life-changing wealth in jars, boxes, and old family coin stashes. But the window of opportunity is getting smaller. Collectors are aggressively buying top-grade specimens. Investors are scooping up rarities as inflation hedges, and prices are climbing faster than ever. If you've been ignoring those old pennies in your home, you might want to think twice before tossing them back into circulation. The 1979 D. Lincoln penny might look simple. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the Denver mint mark tucked neatly under the date, the coppery shine, or maybe the fading brown tone from decades of handling. Most people assume it's just another penny. But the value of this coin is not in its age alone, but in something far more powerful: condition, rarity, and errors that slipped past the mint. That's where million-dollar surprises hide. And you're about to discover exactly why this coin is shocking experts and transforming everyday Americans into accidental millionaires. Before we go deeper, ask yourself something. When was the last time you actually inspected your loose change? Not glanced at it, but truly inspected it? If the answer is never, well, your future self might want to have a word with you. Behind every legendary penny is a story, and the 1979 D has one that begins in a year when America was shifting fast: high inflation, rising metal prices, millions of coins produced at breakneck speed. Quality control was under pressure, and that's exactly how rare mint state survivors and profitable errors were born. In the world of coin collecting, chaos often creates opportunity. Collectors today pay enormous premiums for 1979 D pennies with untouched mint luster, razor-sharp details, and absolutely no signs of wear. Sounds simple, but think about it. These coins were tossed into cash registers, passed through millions of hands, dropped, scraped, and forgotten. Finding one in pristine condition today is like finding a glass sculpture that survived a hurricane, possible but miraculous. And miracles fetch high prices. Grade a 1979 D at MS67 or above, and you're no longer dealing with pocket change, you're dealing with an investment-class artifact. The finest examples have soared into six-figure territory, and one exceptional specimen set the record at an astonishing $979,000. Yes, for a penny most people have stepped on. But the question you're probably thinking right now is why? Why is this specific coin creating such a frenzy? The answer may surprise you. It's not just condition. It's not just rarity. It's the combination of scarcity at high grades, die varieties, and errors that collectors crave. A simple flaw that happened by accident can transform an ordinary penny into a high-value masterpiece. Double die obverse, repunched mint mark, off-center strikes, clipped planchets. Any one of these could elevate a 1979 D into sell your coin and buy your dream home territory. And if you're wondering what these errors look like, here's a quick reality check. Some people have thrown these coins away because they look wrong. Little did they know that looking wrong was the entire point. Now, before we reveal the most lucrative error variations of the 1979D, let's pause for a moment. Imagine opening a dusty jar of change and noticing a strange-looking penny. Do you toss it aside? Or do you check it carefully, knowing what you know now? Because the next few details could mean the difference between 1 cent and 1 million. Some of the most profitable error types include dramatic off-center strikes where Lincoln's portrait looks like it's escaping the coin, double dies where inscriptions appear doubled, and repunched mint marks that show the D stamped twice due to misalignment. The more dramatic the error and the better the condition, the higher the price climbs. But there is one category that collectors practically fight over: flawless full red examples. These coins retain their original fiery copper glow as if they left the mint yesterday. Because copper reacts with the environment, most coins fade to brown over time. A perfectly preserved, blazing red 1979 D is like a time capsule. And time capsules don't come cheap. It's almost funny, isn't it? A tiny change in color, a slight shift in alignment, or an unnoticed doubling can determine whether a coin is worth a penny or a Porsche. So what does this mean for you? It means you may have wealth hidden in plain sight. It means your coin jar, your safe, your old family boxes could be holding something extraordinary. And here's where excitement meets urgency. As more collectors grade coins, the supply of untouched, high-quality 1979 D pennies shrinks. Once they're gone forever. But what should you look for first? Start by examining the date and mint mark. Then check for sharpness in Lincoln's beard, coat, and hair. Look closely at the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Are the letters crisp? Is there doubling? Does the coin shine with that unmistakable red brilliance? Even magnifying it with your phone camera can reveal details that your eye might miss. If your heart suddenly skips when you spot something unusual, don't worry. That's normal. It just means you might have discovered something worth far more than a penny. Now, here's the twist. Even though the 1979 D has already made headlines for its nearly $1 million sale, experts believe prices could go even higher. Why? Because coins in top condition are getting harder to find every year. And remember, the most valuable example today was once just a regular coin in someone's pocket. That could easily be your story too. So what do you do if you think you found a rare one? Do not clean the coin, ever. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Instead, store it safely, avoid touching the surface, and consider submitting it to a reputable grading service. Professional certification can be the difference between selling a coin for a few $100s and selling it for hundreds of thousands. By now, you may be feeling that little spark, hope, curiosity, maybe even excitement. That is the same spark collectors felt before they uncovered their life-changing finds. And here's the real takeaway. Opportunities like this don't come often. But when they do, they don't wait. You have coins in your possession right now that you've overlooked. Coins that might hold a story. Coins that could hold your next big breakthrough. And somewhere out there, the next 1979 D record breaker is sitting quietly, unnoticed, waiting for the right eyes to recognize its value. So take a moment. After this video, grab that jar. Open that drawer. Check that old box in your closet or attic. Because while most people walk through life never realizing they've held wealth in their hands, you're now among the few who do. And as for what you might find, well, that's the exciting part. Could be nothing. Could be something small. Or it could be the coin that changes everything: your lifestyle, your opportunities, your financial future. Keep watching, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the smallest treasures carry the biggest rewards. If you'd like, I can also create a thumbnail title, short description, long description, or SEO-optimized tags for this video. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that the old penny hiding in the back of your drawer, the same one you've ignored for decades, is suddenly worth more than a luxury car, more than a down payment on a house, and in some cases, soaring all the way up to nearly $1 million. Sounds impossible, right? And yet, the 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is quietly changing lives, shocking collectors, and rewriting what we thought we knew about small pocket change. Before you walk past your old coin jar again, you'll want to hear this entire story, because the next person holding a life-changing penny could be you. This coin, simple and unremarkable to the untrained eye, has become one of the most unexpected hidden treasures in American numismatics. And the craziest part? Most people who have one don't even know it. What if the coin sitting in your home right now has a current market value approaching $988,000? What if that single cent could become the key to elevating your financial future, helping you pay off debt, invest, or finally step into that wealthy lifestyle you've dreamed of? Stay with me, because what starts as a small copper-plated coin ends with a story of rarity, luck, and the power of being in the right place at the right time. The journey of the 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny begins in a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of coins. It was a year of constant circulation, rapid production, and countless coins leaving the presses without a second thought. Nothing about 1988 suggested anything extraordinary. But as history loves to remind us, the rarest treasures are often the ones nobody expects. When collectors first discovered a tiny number of 1988 no-mint Mark pennies with highly unusual characteristics, the numismatic world didn't just raise an eyebrow. It sat straight up. These weren't ordinary pennies. Some were struck using dies intended for entirely different years. Some showed subtle design mismatches on Lincoln's bust and the memorial reverse. Others included faint doubling in the lettering or date. Errors so small, yet so powerful, that they instantly elevated these coins from spare change status to high-value assets. People started digging through collections, searching old jars, and revisiting coins they had ignored for decades. It was like a modern-day treasure hunt. Only instead of a map with an X, all you needed was curiosity and a little patience. But what makes these coins so incredibly valuable isn't just the rarity. It's the story behind the rarity. A perfect storm of mint transitions, die mix-ups, and rapid production created a situation that would never happen again. A situation where a tiny handful of coins slipped through the cracks. And those few survivors? They're now among the most valuable pennies of the late 20th century. Now, before you start tearing apart your house looking for that penny, let's talk about what sets the million-dollar examples apart. This is where things get exciting. And if you're thinking, I've probably never even looked at my pennies that closely, don't worry. Most people haven't. But by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and you'll know why these small design details can push a simple 1-cent coin to nearly 7 figures in today's market. The first major sign of a high-value 1988 no-mint Mark penny is the rare transitional reverse, where the coin mistakenly used a reverse design from 1989, creating a mismatch between the obverse and reverse styles. It's a visual glitch that seems almost invisible, yet collectors are willing to pay enormous premiums for it. Why? Because transitional errors represent moments in mint history where human oversight meets mechanical imperfection. They're time capsules of confusion, and collectors absolutely love them. Then there's the doubling. On some 1988 pennies, the date or lettering appears slightly split, but only under magnification. It's the sort of detail no average spender would ever catch. But to a collector, it's like seeing a diamond sparkle in the sun. Small, distinct, and incredibly rare. And here's where the fear kicks in, and yes, the good kind of fear. The fear of missing the opportunity sitting right under your nose. How many people threw away or spent valuable pennies before realizing what they had? How many fortunes disappeared across grocery store counters? It's a frightening thought, but it's also a powerful reminder. Wealth sometimes hides in the most ordinary places. As the value of these coins skyrocketed, collectors began bidding aggressively. Some examples hit astonishing prices, climbing into hundreds of thousands, with the highest graded, most flawless, most perfectly preserved coins reaching toward that breathtaking $988,000 mark. Seeing a penny break into the ranks of million-dollar collectibles isn't just rare. It's transformational. It changes the entire perspective of what pocket change can become. But this story takes an even more surprising turn. Not all valuable 1988 pennies looked perfect. Some had visible marks, light scratches, or minor wear, and they still sold for tens of thousands of dollars. Why? Because rarity is king. When a coin is so scarce that collectors compete fiercely for even the imperfect examples, you begin to understand just how powerful this opportunity is. So at this point, you might be wondering, what if I have one? What if the universe has quietly placed one of the rarest pennies in my possession and I've just never looked closely enough? And honestly, that's an exciting question. But here's the even more important one. What are you willing to do with the knowledge you now have? Because the window of opportunity isn't guaranteed to stay open. As more collectors discover these rare coins, the available supply shrinks. Every coin that gets sold, graded, and placed in a private collection is one less coin available for someone like you. And the longer the market continues climbing, the more people begin searching, meaning the chances of finding one in the wild get slimmer by the day. It's almost funny when you think about it. People are out there searching for business ideas, side hustles, investment strategies, and meanwhile, some of the most life-changing opportunities are hiding in a handful of old pennies. If money could laugh, it would be laughing at us right now. But there's something incredibly empowering about being informed. You now know the signs. You now know the story. You now understand the urgency behind checking the coins in your home. And this knowledge alone puts you ahead of millions of people who have never taken a moment to look. Yet the story still isn't over, because there's another twist, one that might surprise you. The value of the 1988 no-mint mark penny isn't fixed. It's not locked into today's $988,000 peak. If the market continues trending the way rare coins have been trending over the last decade, that price could climb further. Some experts believe we may see the first $1 million 1988 penny sale very soon. Imagine being the owner of that coin. Imagine being the person whose life changes with a single piece of copper-plated zinc. That possibility is not out of reach. It's not fantasy. It's happening. Right now. To people who took the time to look. So while the world is busy chasing the next big thing, the next investment trend, the next digital gold rush, here you are learning about one of the most unexpected wealth-building opportunities sitting in plain sight. And that raises a simple but powerful question. What else in your life might you be overlooking? The story of this coin is a story of being prepared, being aware, and understanding that fortune favors those who pay attention. It's about recognizing that the difference between 1 cent and $1 million is often just knowledge and timing. And now, the only thing left is action. The next time you pass by your old coin jar, don't just glance at it. Open it. Start looking. Examine every 1988 penny you find. Use a magnifier if you have one. Check the reverse details. Look at the lettering. Inspect the date. Because the universe doesn't always send opportunity with a spotlight or a warning sign. Sometimes, it sends it in the shape of a tiny copper coin most people overlook. Imagine the moment you finally spot it, the thrill, the excitement, the shock. The moment you realize that this little piece of history is worth more than most people make in a year, more than some people make in a decade. And the moment you understand that wealth doesn't always come from where we expect it, but it always comes to those who are ready. This is your invitation to step into that possibility, to hold your financial future in your hands, to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary, and maybe, just maybe, to find the penny that could change your life forever. They say the smallest things in life often carry the greatest value. But what if the tiniest coin in your home, the humble brown penny you haven't looked at twice, could be your ticket to nearly $1 million? What if you've walked past a life-changing fortune every single day without ever realizing it? Stay with me, because today we're uncovering the shocking truth behind the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin quietly breaking the rules of collecting, rewriting expectations, and selling for up to $991,000 in the current market. Yes, you heard that right. A penny, worth nearly $1 million. Now, I know what you might be thinking. How could a common-looking coin from the early 90s be worth more than luxury homes, supercars, or even a comfortable retirement fund? The answer is layered in rarity, mystery, and a perfect storm of collector demand that has turned this everyday coin into one of the most coveted sleeper treasures in American numismatics. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to identify the valuable ones, what makes them special, and how people just like you are uncovering life-changing wealth hiding in old drawers, dusty jars, and forgotten coin albums. Before we dig deeper, here's a small warning. Brace yourself, because once you learn what makes the 1991 no-mint mark penny so valuable, you may never look at a penny the same way again. It all begins with a coin that, on the surface, doesn't seem rare at all. In 1991, millions of Lincoln pennies were struck by the U.S. Mint. No mint mark on the front means it was struck in Philadelphia, as usual. So why does this ordinary appearance mask something extraordinary? Why is this year standing out in auctions, stunning collectors and sending shockwaves through the coin world? The answer lies in a combination of flaws, varieties, and ultra-high-grade conditions that are so incredibly difficult to find that collectors are paying fortunes, literal fortunes, to own them. A perfect storm of rarity and demand, all concentrated around a coin most people would rather leave on the ground than pick up. Imagine someone tossing away a penny that could pay off their mortgage. It sounds ridiculous, right? But it's happening every single day. Now, what makes the valuable 1991 pennies so unique? The core reason is microscopic condition. For a 1991 penny to reach values near $1 million, it must be among the finest known examples. Flawless, sharp, pristine, with nearly perfect surfaces. These are the coins that grading companies label as elite. Coins so perfect that they barely look real. And here's where the fear creeps in a little. Because those ultra-rare coins are out there. They exist. And someone will find them. The only question is, will it be you, or the person who throws a handful of change into a Coinstar machine this afternoon? But condition is just one part of the story. In certain cases, rare die varieties, minor shifts, doubling, or misalignments during the minting process have created pennies that don't match the typical production of 1991. These varieties are scarce, and when combined with high grade, the price skyrockets. Collectors chase these anomalies because they aren't supposed to exist. It's like discovering a misprinted dollar bill that somehow slipped through quality control and suddenly becomes a prize worth chasing. Take a moment and imagine something. Somewhere in America right now, maybe in an attic or a basement or a dusty jar filled with coins, there is a 1991 penny that someone has forgotten about. A penny that could change a family's entire future. A penny that could shift a financial reality, open new doors, and redefine what's possible. A penny that could be worth $991,000. Powerful, isn't it? Of course, this is where things get truly exciting. Because the people discovering these rare coins aren't lifelong collectors. They aren't experts. They're regular people, teachers, truck drivers, retirees, parents, anyone who decides to check the change they've ignored for years. One powerful decision: to look. But here's the twist that most people don't expect. While a flawless condition 1991 no-mint mark penny can reach those record-breaking numbers, even lower-grade varieties can still fetch hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of dollars. You don't need to find the absolute top example to find a coin worth celebrating. You just need to know what to look for and, more importantly, where to look. And speaking of where to look, you may want to go check that jar in the kitchen after this video. Yes, the one with the rubber band barely holding the lid on. You might laugh, but seriously, half of America has a treasure chest disguised as a dusty container of spare change. And the other half doesn't realize they have one yet. Let's talk numbers for a moment. A flawless 1991 penny, graded in the highest possible tier, has reached market values up to $991,000. This isn't a myth. It's not a rumor shared on forums. It's the reality of today's collector market, where scarcity fuels demand and perfect condition commands unbelievable prices. Coins from common years are suddenly becoming trophies, status pieces, power symbols for collectors who want the best of the best. Now, does this mean every 1991 penny is worth a fortune? Absolutely not. Most of them are worth 1 cent. Maybe 2 if your friend really likes pennies. But here's the part most people overlook. You only need one. One incredible find. One lucky discovery. One moment of curiosity that leads to a 6-figure or even 7-figure reward. But this is also where urgency comes in. Because the finest examples are disappearing fast. They're being purchased, stored, sealed, encapsulated, and taken off the market. The supply is shrinking every single day. And if you've ever wondered why collectors are racing to find these coins, it's because once those top examples are gone, they're gone for good. Imagine the regret someone will feel 5 years from now, when they finally check their coins and realize the opportunity they missed. That feeling alone is enough to inspire anyone to start searching today. And yet, even with all this incredible value and excitement, many people still assume that valuable coins are only from the 1800s or early 1900s. They overlook modern coins entirely. But modern rarities are exploding in value, and the 1991 penny is leading that charge. This is the era where everyday Americans have a real chance to discover extraordinary wealth in the most unexpected places. So ask yourself, what if your financial breakthrough isn't in the stock market, a business investment, or a lottery ticket you forgot to check? What if it's already in your home, waiting? As we reach the final part of our journey, let's create a moment of clarity. Wealth doesn't always show up in grand, shiny forms. Sometimes it hides quietly. Sometimes it's small enough to slip into your pocket without notice. Sometimes it's something as simple as a penny. But the people who change their lives are the ones who pay attention, the ones who take action, the ones who understand that fortune favors those who look closer. And just when you think the story ends here, it doesn't, because new discoveries are still being made. New varieties continue to surface. Auction houses are still setting record prices. This isn't the end of the 1991 penny story. It's the beginning. So let me leave you with this final thought. Tonight, when you're emptying your pockets, sorting your laundry, or opening that drawer filled with random things you swear you'll organize one day, remember this. A tiny copper-colored coin might be the key to unlocking a wealthier future. And the only way to find out is to look. Because somewhere in America, another 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny worth nearly $991,000 is waiting to be discovered. And who says the next person to find it can't be you? Imagine waking up one morning, opening an old drawer, and realizing that a tiny copper coin you've ignored for decades could be worth more than your house. Sounds unbelievable, right? But today, we're uncovering the remarkable truth behind one of the most unexpected treasures hiding in American change. The 1996 Lincoln penny. A coin most people spent without a second thought, now climbing its way to an astonishing current market value of up to $996,000, with expert predictions hinting that the next rare specimen could cross into the multimillion-dollar range. And yes, one of these coins could be sitting in your home right now. Before you brush it off and say, 1996? That wasn't even that long ago. Consider this. Wealth often hides in the ordinary. Rare opportunity doesn't always come shining in gold or shimmering in gemstones. Sometimes it's disguised as a 1-cent coin that millions of Americans dropped into their morning coffee donation jar. And today, that humble penny may be your ticket to a life of greater comfort, freedom, and prosperity. This story begins at the Denver Mint in 1996, a year when billions of pennies were produced. Most were flawless, common, and entirely forgettable. But in a sea of billions, only a handful emerged with extraordinary traits. Traits so rare that collectors, auction houses, and private investors now hunt for them like hidden treasure. Some display double dies with crisp, undeniable distortion on the date or lettering. Others bear off-center strikes, misaligned dies, or dramatic minting blunders that elevate them far above ordinary pocket change. And then there are those mysterious near-perfect condition pieces, flawless red gems barely touched by human hands. These are the coins that ignite bidding wars. These are the coins that transform everyday people into overnight success stories. Because the right 1996 penny can turn a penny into nearly $1 million. And the right error in the right condition. That's where the whispers of millions begin as we peel back the curtain on this coin's soaring value. There's one question viewers ask again and again. Why this coin? Why now? Why is a penny from the 1990s suddenly the subject of national attention? The answer lies in a perfect storm of scarcity, demand, and emotional nostalgia. Collectors in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, people just like you, are now reclaiming the coins of their youth. Investors are chasing physical assets that feel real, stable, and historically grounded. And everyday Americans are waking up to the possibility that their forgotten change jars might contain life-changing wealth. The 1996 penny sits right at the center of that storm. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. While most people assume older coins are automatically more valuable, the truth is the opposite. Modern coins with authentic mint errors are significantly rarer because technological precision has nearly eliminated mistakes. So when an error slips through, it becomes a once-in-a-generation fluke. That tiny imperfection becomes perfection in the eyes of a collector. Imagine a penny struck off-center so dramatically that Lincoln's portrait is pushed halfway off the coin. Or a double die that creates a shadowy second image. Or a coin so pristine, so untouched, that it glows under magnification like a preserved artifact. These are the coins buyers line up for, sometimes with offers that sound more like luxury real estate numbers than coin prices. Of course, not every 1996 D penny will make you wealthy. That's the fear, the uncertainty, the tension that keeps so many people from checking their coins. What if you look and find nothing? What if the opportunity passes you by? The truth is, you'll never know unless you look. And if even one person finds a hidden gem worth 6 or 7 figures, the courage to look becomes worth it. Collectors, auction houses, and private dealers have already identified several extraordinary 1996 D pennies with sale prices climbing into the hundreds of thousands. Some have pristine MS 67 plus and MS 68 grades. Others show dramatic errors. These high-end examples are the ones pushing the current market peak, now standing at an astonishing $996,000. That number isn't hype. It's real, and it's still climbing. Every year, more collectors enter the market. Every year, fewer high-end coins become available. And every year, the scarcity tightens like a rope. One day soon, we may see the first confirmed $1 million sale. Maybe 2 million. Maybe more. Sometimes wealth isn't created, it's discovered. But what truly makes this penny different is its accessibility. Anyone can find one. There are no inheritance requirements, no auctions you must attend, no gatekeepers deciding if you're allowed to participate. Just your curiosity, your persistence, and perhaps a little luck. Think about it. How many drawers have you ignored? How many boxes in storage? How many jars filled with dusty change that you haven't touched in years? Could one of them hold a penny worth more than your car? Your yearly salary? Your retirement fund? It's funny. Most people spend their whole lives searching for opportunities. Bigger jobs, better investments, faster ways to secure financial freedom. But sometimes opportunity hides in the smallest places. And if your financial future changed because of a single penny, would you laugh? Would you cry? Would you wonder how many rare coins you might have thrown away over the years? The emotional roller coaster is real. First comes disbelief, then excitement, then fear of missing out, fear that someone else will find the treasure you overlooked, and then urgency, the realization that waiting even one more day could mean letting a $1 million opportunity slip into someone else's pocket. So, what makes a 1996 D penny worth nearly $1 million? The recipe is surprisingly simple. Rarity, condition, and demand. Combine those elements, and you create a market where collectors compete fiercely. And when competition rises, values skyrocket. But hear this carefully. The best examples are still out there, still hidden, still waiting. No one knows where the next great discovery will appear. Could be a garage sale, could be an estate box, could be in the back pocket of a coat you haven't worn since the 90s. Why not your home? If you've ever dreamed of a wealthy lifestyle, of paying off debt, upgrading your home, traveling freely, or finally breathing without financial stress, you owe it to yourself to check your coins. The potential reward is too great, and the window of opportunity is already narrowing. The rarest 1996 D specimens don't stay in the marketplace long. When they appear, they vanish instantly. Collectors treat them like sacred relics. Investors treat them like blue-chip assets. And ordinary people who find them, they often walk away with life-changing checks. But here's the twist, and maybe the biggest mystery of all. Experts believe there are still undiscovered 1996 D error pennies that could surpass the current record. Error types that haven't surfaced yet. Grades higher than MS68 that no one has seen. And those coins, if found, could easily break the $1 million line. Maybe 2 million. Maybe 5. Sound crazy? So did the idea of a $996,000 penny. Until it happened. So the next time you hold a penny, don't dismiss it. Don't underestimate it. Don't let the simplicity fool you, because some pennies are just pennies. But a rare 1996 D penny? That's a possibility, a chance, a quiet, almost secret opportunity that could change the course of your life as we reach the end. there's one question you should ask yourself. What if? What if you have one? What if you've seen one already? What if your future wealth has been hiding in plain sight? Before you decide that the coins sitting in your drawers are nothing more than loose change, let me ask you something powerful. What if one of them could rewrite your financial story? What if a single penny, a 1998 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, could be your unexpected doorway to a wealthier, freer life? Because right now, this ordinary-looking coin, the same type you've handled thousands of times, has shocked collectors across the country by reaching a jaw-dropping market value of up to $998,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. A penny. Almost $1 million. Suddenly, checking your pocket change doesn't sound so boring anymore. Does it? Most people ignore these coins, toss them into jars, let them gather dust, and forget about them entirely. Yet someone, somewhere, is discovering these rare treasures and selling them for life-changing money. And while they step into their new wealth, the rest of us are left wondering how we missed the same opportunity. But today, that changes. Today, we uncover the secrets behind the 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, why collectors chase it with relentless obsession, and how one small copper-coated coin has become a symbol of hope, ambition, and the possibility of striking luck where you least expect it. The truth is, every great transformation begins with something small. A choice, a moment, sometimes even a penny. And the story of this coin begins just like yours, ordinary circumstances with extraordinary potential hidden inside. The 1998 penny wasn't born special. It rolled out of the Philadelphia Mint by the billions, designed to blend in with everyday American life. But as with all legendary stories, rarity has a strange way of showing up where it is least expected. Errors slipped through, variations appeared, and a small number of these coins began to stand out. Slightly imperfect, beautifully flawed, and priceless to those who know what to look for. Collectors crave these rare 1998 pennies because of subtle mistakes, double dies, misplaced lettering, plating errors, off-center strikes, and extremely high-grade condition examples. The rarer the error, the higher the price. And when you mix that rarity with rising demand from well-funded collectors, you end up with something nearly unbelievable. A penny trading hands for almost $1 million. Sounds wild, right? Almost like spotting a Ferrari in a grocery store parking lot. You blink, question reality for a moment, and then think, is this really happening? But here's where the excitement turns into urgency. These coins are disappearing into private collections fast. Once they're locked away, they might not hit the open market again for decades. Imagine knowing there's a coin in circulation right now worth nearly $1 million, and someone else finds it before you do. That little twinge of fear? That's the feeling savvy collectors use as fuel. The fear of missing out. The fear of letting opportunity slip by. The fear of looking back 5 years from now and wishing you had taken a closer look at the coins you already own. Still, most people never check. Why? Because they assume nothing valuable could possibly be hiding in something so small, so common, so ordinary. But that's exactly where opportunity hides, behind the assumptions we never question. It's almost humorous when you think about it. We spend years chasing big money, complex investments, and high-risk ventures, all while a potentially life-changing penny might be sitting inches away in a dusty jar. Who would have thought? The real turning point comes when you start to understand how and why these coins gain value. Condition is everything. A 1998 penny kept in pristine shape. No scratches, no discoloration, sharp strike, perfect details, can multiply in value instantly. And when certified by reputable grading agencies like PCGS or NGC, its worth skyrockets. This is where the dreamers become doers. The ones who send their coins for grading, who take action instead of just hoping. Those are the people who win. But here's the twist that surprises most people. Not all rare coins look dramatic or unusual. Some look completely normal to the naked eye. The $1 million 1998 penny doesn't glow, doesn't sparkle, doesn't announce itself with neon signs. It looks exactly like the one in your pocket. And that, right there, is the dopamine-triggering mystery that keeps collectors hunting day and night. You never know which penny will change everything. A single coin could be the difference between staying where you are or stepping into a wealthier chapter of life. And as dramatic as that sounds, it's absolutely true. Let's go deeper into what exactly makes these coins so sought after. One of the most coveted variations is the 1998 wide AM reverse, a subtle spacing difference between the letters A and M in the word America. Seems tiny, almost laughable, but collectors will pay tens of thousands for this feature alone. Combine that with a high-grade example, flawless luster, and a strong strike, and suddenly the price climbs into the hundreds of thousands. Add rare errors on top of that, and the numbers break into the million-dollar range. Isn't it fascinating how the smallest details create the biggest fortunes? But before you rush to sell any coin you find, here's the cliffhanger twist you absolutely must hear. Not all buyers are the same. The collector market is a battlefield of knowledge. Those who understand coin grading, auction patterns, rarity cycles, and timing will walk away with top-tier profits. Those who sell too quickly, too cheaply, or to the wrong buyers risk losing thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, without ever knowing that. That's why understanding the value of your 1998 penny is the key to unlocking its full potential. The market is competitive, and right now demand is rising. Wealthy collectors, private investors, and high-net-worth buyers are hunting aggressively for rare pennies they can store as long-term assets. Yes, you heard that right, pennies as assets. It sounds almost comical, but wealthy collectors have always known a secret. Rare coins don't just sit around looking pretty. They appreciate, they grow, they build wealth quietly, consistently, and sometimes explosively. So what happens if you do find one? What if your life takes that unexpected turn? Imagine waking up tomorrow holding a penny that could sell for nearly $1 million. What would you do first? Pay off your home? Start a new business? Travel the world? Or simply breathe a little easier? Knowing financial pressure has finally loosened its grip on your future? People chase these coins not just for profit, but for the freedom they represent. And here's a final, powerful truth. Opportunities rarely come wrapped in gold. Most arrive disguised as something simple, overlooked, and underestimated. The 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a perfect example. It reminds us that fortune favors the curious, the aware, and the willing. Those who take action. Those who don't let fear stop them. Those who understand that wealth isn't just about luck. It's about looking closely at what others ignore. Before we wrap up, here's something to keep you thinking long after this video ends. Somewhere in America, right now, someone is holding a 1998 penny worth up to $998,000. They might find it today. They might find it tomorrow. The question is, will it be you? Or will you look back one day, wondering if the opportunity of a lifetime passed right through your hands? The time to act is now. Check your coins. Learn their secrets. Get them graded. Seek the right buyers. And above all, stay curious, because incredible wealth has a way of hiding in the smallest corners of life. Your next step could be the one that transforms everything. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of pennies on your dresser, and discovering that one of them, a simple, ordinary-looking 2002 Lincoln penny, could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in extremely rare cases, even millions. It sounds unbelievable, almost like a plot twist no one saw coming. But that's exactly why collectors, investors, and everyday Americans are now digging into their change jars with more urgency than ever before. Because hidden among the pennies we've ignored for decades are coins that have transformed ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. Welcome back. Today, we're diving into the mystery, the excitement, and the wealth-building potential behind the 2002 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, one of the most surprising modern coins capable of skyrocketing in value, with current confirmed market sales reaching up to $202,000. Yes, $202,000 for a single cent. And that's just the beginning. Many people think rare coins exist only in ancient collections or museum vaults, but the truth is far more thrilling. Some of the most valuable coins in America are hiding in plain sight. They're sitting in junk drawers, tucked into old wallets, forgotten inside safe boxes, or resting quietly in your pocket right now. And the 2002 no-mint mark penny is one of those under-the-radar treasures that could transform an ordinary day into the most profitable moment of your life. But before you get too comfortable, here's the twist. Most people who own one of these special coins don't even realize they have it. They spend it, They toss it aside. They let it slip away forever. And that tiny mistake could mean losing a life-changing fortune. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes this penny so valuable, how to identify one in your own collection, and how to avoid the costly errors that have already caused thousands of Americans to miss out on wealth they deserved. The story of this coin begins quietly in 2002, a year where nothing seemed unusual about the pennies coming out of the Philadelphia Mint. No special announcements, no commemorative designs, no major minting changes. Just the classic Lincoln portrait on the front and the familiar Lincoln Memorial on the back. A simple cent, worth 1 cent. So how did this coin become the subject of 5- and 6-figure auction results? Why are experts calling it one of the most surprising modern treasures in today's coin market? And how could a coin that looks completely normal be worth more than many people's annual salaries? Here's where things get interesting. The highest value 2002 no mint Mark Lincoln pennies are not valuable because they are old. They're valuable because of their perfection, their flaws, their unusual striking characteristics, their unexpected minting anomalies, and, most importantly, their rarity in high-grade conditions. Because even though millions were minted, only a microscopic fraction survived in flawless, untouched states. And in the world of numismatics, perfection is power. Collectors go insane for coins graded MS68 and above. But for modern coins like the 2002 penny, finding one without scratches, spots, dents, discoloration, or even microscopic contact marks is unbelievably difficult. These coins are handled by machines, dropped into bins, transported in bulk, tossed into rolls, and sent across the country. Every step adds damage, even if it's tiny damage the normal eye can't see. Now imagine a 2002 penny that somehow survived all that without a single significant flaw. One that looks like it was frozen in time the moment it left the minting press. One so sharp, so clean, so perfectly struck that under powerful magnification it appears untouched. That is the kind of coin that has shattered expectations and sold for jaw-dropping amounts, up to $202,000 in the current market. And certain extremely rare error variations, if discovered, have theoretical valuations reaching into the millions. Think about that for a moment. A 1-cent coin worth more than luxury cars, more than the down payment on a dream home, more than what many people save in an entire decade. And it's sitting out there somewhere. Maybe in a drawer, maybe in a roll of pennies at your bank, maybe in your home, waiting for the right person to recognize its value. But before you start searching, let me warn you. Not every 2002 penny is valuable. Not even close. Most are still worth 1 cent. So the question becomes, how do you know if you have one of the special ones? What separates a $1 million modern rarity from a regular common coin? And what are the expert secrets collectors use to spot hidden fortune? First, you want to check the condition. If your 2002 penny has scratches, dents, stains, or heavy wear, it's almost definitely not worth big money. Clean, crisp, uncirculated condition is the first major sign you're dealing with something potentially valuable. If the coin looks like it just came out of a brand new roll, your heart should start beating a little faster. Next, look for errors. Double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets. These unusual minting mistakes can multiply a coin's value dramatically. Some rare double-die examples from the early 2000s have sold for tens of thousands of dollars alone. And if a major undiscovered error exists on a 2002 penny, that's where million-dollar valuations become possible. But there's another key to value, the one most people overlook: professional grading. It doesn't matter how beautiful your coin looks to you. In the world of high-stakes collecting, a coin isn't truly valuable until it's authenticated and graded by experts like PCGS or NGC. A raw coin might appear flawless to the naked eye, but grading companies use magnification powerful enough to expose even the smallest flaw. This is where fear creeps in. Many people assume their coin is perfect, until grading reveals hidden marks and instantly drops its value. And once it's encapsulated in a low grade, there's no going back. That mistake has cost collectors thousands of dollars. But here's the exciting part. If your 2002 penny does come back in the MS68 or MS69 range, you may be holding one of the most valuable modern pennies in existence. And the stories behind these sales are incredible. Everyday Americans, teachers, truck drivers, retirees, small business owners have pulled rare modern pennies from pocket change, sent them in for grading on a whim, and walked away with life-changing checks. These are people who weren't wealthy, weren't collectors, and weren't expecting miracles. But they got one anyway. And the reason is simple. They paid attention. They looked closely. They believed that small things can lead to big results. Let's be honest for a moment. Most people will never take the time to check their coins. They assume modern pennies are worthless. And that's the exact mindset that allows extraordinary treasures to go unnoticed. Opportunities don't disappear. They simply go to the people who are paying attention. You're still here right now, watching this video, because something inside you knows that wealth doesn't always announce itself with flashing lights. Sometimes it hides quietly in a copper coin worth 1 cent, until the right eyes recognize it. And here's another twist. The value of rare coins like the 2002 No Mint Mark penny is rising, not falling. As time passes and more coins become damaged, lost, or melted down, the remaining high-grade survivors get even rarer. Collectors compete harder. Prices rise faster. And those who act early benefit the most. So think about this. If the best examples are selling today for up to $202,000, what will they be worth 10 years from now? What about 20 years from now? What happens when the market realizes how few truly perfect 2002 pennies exist? When investors begin hoarding them? When demand spikes beyond supply? It's not crazy to imagine million-dollar valuations becoming a reality. But the real question is, will you be one of the people who takes action, or one of the people who looks back one day and regrets missing out? Take a moment and imagine finding that one extraordinary penny. Imagine holding it in your hand, knowing its value, feeling the weight of potential wealth pressing into your palm. Would it change the way you see opportunity? Would it open doors you never thought possible? Would it give you the chance to pay off a home, start a business, invest in your future, secure your family's legacy? It's easy to laugh at a penny, until that penny pays for a new life. The next step is yours. Search your coins. Check your drawers. Look through your rolls. Examine every 2002 penny you find. Because the difference between an ordinary day and a wealthy life may be sitting in your home right now, hiding in plain sight, waiting patiently for you to discover it. And here's the final cliffhanger. Somewhere out there, a flawless 2002 penny, perhaps the greatest one ever struck, has not yet been found. Could be in circulation, could be in a bankroll, could be in someone's pocket right now.